But first, before anything else, let me continue with my final thoughts on style itself, which I think actually serve as a better springboard into talking about some more specific situations today, and that is the reason why I didn't include these final thoughts at the end of part 2, drawing it out past an hour or anything like that. So the last thing I want to say, after having covered the whole concept that you shouldn't be looking to just have a style like being tight in the early stages or aggressive around the bubble or whatever. Instead, you should always be formulating a counterattack based on how your table is currently playing. And that counterattack changes over time. It's very dynamic. It changes as the blinds go up, and therefore people's general goals change. It varies as the players at your table bust out and new people come in. It varies as people's emotions change over time, and so on and so forth. Your style doesn't vary by the stage of the tournament. This is a very big misconception and something that I want to hammer home. A lot of people say, I play tight early on and then I loosen up later. While that's not necessarily a hugely terrible system, it's an incomplete system that will only work in a certain subset of tournaments that you play and will fail in other tournaments. And so instead, you should be more dynamic, think more about the exact situation that you're in from tournament to tournament, and recognize that instead, your style that you happen to be playing is just a coincidence of your fundamentally good decision-making process that varies mostly with players at your table. The people who are tight are the people that you want to steal pots from, and the people who are loose are the people who you want to build pots against and play for value. If your table's overwhelmingly tight on average, then you want to be generally stealing a lot. And if your table's overwhelmingly loose on average, then you generally want to be bloating pots a lot and playing for value. The absolute most important determinant of what happens to become your style at any given time is who the players are at your table and how they're currently playing. So your style could literally change between two hands because something important could have happened, like the level going up or somebody busting out or some intense, long, drawn-out hand happening or whatever. Your style could change from one hand to the next, and then it could change from that hand to the next one as well, and it could make dramatic changes based on what position you are relative to some other people, based on how people are feeling now that a certain hand has gone down, and so on and so forth. There are all kinds of factors that go into it, and you need to think from the ground up instead of sitting there feeling like, okay, I'm going to play tight right now. Because that's not always good, right? Playing tight right now may be good, maybe not. It really depends on primarily what the players at your table are currently doing right this minute. Stack size influences what you're allowed to do, what you literally have the capacity to do. So, for example, if you want to be playing a style that's very value-oriented, it's very much about bloating pots and waiting for a good hand and then getting maximum value. If you have a small stack, unfortunately, that's not possible. So stack size serves as a limiter of what styles are actually available to you that you would want to use to combat how people are playing in your game. And it's not that when you have a big stack that's conducive to a certain kind of style, like if you have a lot of chips, you should be attacking the table. That's absolutely not the case. And it's another common misconception that I hear all the time, especially among people who are a little more casual, play some live tournaments here and there. Stack size does not determine style, it only allows for style. Okay, so if you have a big stack, then it is possible for you to make lots of different plays, for you to throw a lot of chips here and there, and you at least won't bust out of the tournament. You don't have that risk hanging over you. And if you do want to bloat a big pot and play a big pot with someone else at your table, presuming that you've got them covered, then you're able to do that. So when you're very short, your options are unfortunately limited, and when you're very deep, your options are myriad, and you can do pretty much whatever you want. However, just because you are short or deep does not necessarily mean that you have to have one style or another. Now, as you get shorter and shorter and shorter, that statement becomes less and less true. You do have to kind of fall into a very normalized, methodical, mechanical, chart-based style for what kind of hands you're just open shoving or folding, or 3-betting all in or folding in pots that have already been opened. When you do have very few big blinds, when you have like less than 10 big blinds, it starts to become a game where you only have one option. You can only play pretty much one way. And that is unfortunate, but I think that that's something that if you've played tournaments at all, if you've studied tournaments at all, has been really hammered down for probably all of you. So I'm not going to talk about it really, because deciding what hands to shove or fold with like 8 big blinds, you can literally find a chart that can explain how to do that. You can do that for 8 big blinds and 10 big blinds and stuff like that. A quick Google search will help you sort that out.